my opinion, women can do it. Women want a new world. Women want new ideas, and women intend to get them. Women have shown what they could do in war, and now that the fighting is over, women intend to show the world what they can do in peace.
And we have always felt like that. And now that the fighting is over and the war is won, the little dears can get back to their pots and pans. And now, gentlemen, I ask you to be upstanding and drink to the health of the ladies. God bless them.
But what does this chap really think about women's place after the war? When he talks about the ladies, he means the little woman, that household angel who stayed at home, raised a family, and humored her husband. Nowadays, the little woman goes off to her part-time job at the factory and leaves the old man to cope with things before he goes on the night shift.
Will post-wall women ever come to understand why they're single? There are numerous factors at play, but let's simplify things. If these women swipe left 95% of the time because they believe that most men aren't good enough, it's no wonder they feel lonely. What's more, some of these women hold themselves to so-called high standards while engaging in casual intimacy with men on the first or second date. If the man's got enough seduction skills, he can easily pump and dump her, and hold on, these chicks are down for that experience. These women often feel sorry for themselves because they have allowed Chad, a stereotypically attractive and promiscuous man, to use them for physical intimacy and nothing else. Instead of taking responsibility for their choices, they blame Chad for being toxic and manipulative, accusing him of misleading them with false expressions of love when all he wanted was a casual encounter. This pattern is nothing new, as many women have already experienced similar situations. After a bunch of one-night stands and relationships with partners that did not want to commit in a million years, they eventually hit the undefeated wall, and the consequences of their choices become evident. It is at this point that they seek help or stability, aiming for a committed relationship rather than pursuing the thrill of getting ran through.
There's been a lot of conversations about why single women who are childless are the happiest women on the planet, and I'll give you a few reasons why. I'm single, childless, 39, and I live in Brooklyn. I am not responsible for the emotional labor of a man-child. I don't have to clean up after someone else because they'll get to it later. I'm not showing up for somebody who's barely making an effort and then throwing a tantrum when I ask for the bare minimum. I make my own money, and I get whatever I need and want for myself whenever I want to. I have an amazing apartment. I'm an aunt to 5 amazing children, which is arguably better than actually having them, because I get to give them back. And I refuse to ever believe when women would tell me I was too picky. Even though their husbands have like gambling and porn addictions. So ultimately, if a great guy comes around who's willing to be an equal partner, awesome. I'm totally down for that. Otherwise, I'm good.
3 times 3 times 3, 36.
Body count?
50, but when I'm done with porn, I will reclaim my virginity and go from there.
Are you out of your goddamn mind?
You look like a hoe, you behave like a hoe, you have pictures that might make you look like a hoe, well, guys are gonna assume you're a hoe.
So because you post in a bikini, you're a hoe? Or look like a hoe?
Oh, hoe traits. Yes, these are hoe traits, yes.
I mean, I'll probably talk to like 5,000-6,000 guys. Whoa. Wait, they just send me like money and stuff.
Oh.
How much money? Last year I probably made 10,000-15,000.
Come on now, dog.
In today's video, we delve into the topic of post-wall women, exploring the choices they willingly make and why they may not be considered suitable for marriage.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit, I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever.
It's damn obvious that post-wall women encourage young girls to indulge in carefree experiences during their prime years, such as casual encounters and partying. This way, the current post-wall women won't feel alone because there'll be younger girls enjoying the club scene. Ironically, by joining this club of post-wall women, they neglect their health and well-being, which leads to further difficulties in finding a suitable partner down the road. It perpetuates a cycle where they continue chasing after a Prince Charming, hoping to find security and stability.
Okay, but moving forward, then what? So I'm just gonna, like I said, make it about myself. I'm 30, single, mom. My fucking checkered past is all over Instagram. You know what I mean? I have people like you who are, she's a hoe, she's literally known for this. Okay. So what would be your advice to people like me then?
I just think there's consequences for your decisions. And I just think like my best advice would be to like lower your standards like that because I just think there's going to be consequences for putting, you know, promiscuous stuff on the internet.
It's intriguing how post-wall women boast about their life experiences, primarily referring to their dating adventures and sexual encounters, which high-value men aren't particularly interested in. In all honesty, 99.9% of them are simply disgusted. High-value men don't have time for women burdened with emotional baggage or insecurities. They'd rather pick and choose younger women with no baggage. The more partners a woman has had in the past, the more likely she will carry insecurities or fear that her partner may abandon her. Plus, the current dude will have to compete not only with other men that might want her now, but also her exes and what they did in bed with her. Thank you, but no thank you. If you're in your 20s or 30s, have your life in order, and attract women in their 30s who are searching for an ATM, a husband, it's perfectly reasonable to be cautious and not accept just any chick that comes your way. The harsh reality is that women tend to experience a decline in fertility and physical appearance as they age, while men often age gracefully. A woman in her 30s, especially if she hasn't prioritized self-care but has engaged in multiple sexual encounters and also bad habits such as smoking, drinking, and drugs, will show visible signs of aging on her face and exhibit a different attitude. The carefree attitude of, I don't need a man, suddenly evaporates when the desire to have children becomes urgent. The clock is ticking, so they try to get a man once they close the curtain.
I'm sitting here with just this horrible realization. I've been divorced for 3 years, and in that 3 years, I have spent most of my days figuring out how I can become physically, mentally, financially, spiritually healthy enough to be able to afford and take care of a child. And not only have I taken that time, but I've done the math, and it does not work out. I am not young enough, or fertile enough, or financially stable enough to even do another round of IVF, and at 36, like, I'm sorry, like, you're gonna say, like, you have time, like, I don't.
At least these women are being honest about their desires, which is a positive aspect. The problem arises when modern women, especially during their prime years, believe they have an unlimited amount of time to engage in casual relationships and eventually find a Prince Charming who will accept them, regardless of their past. They expect a simp, a derogatory term for a submissive man, to marry them or provide the support they seek. However, intelligent men aren't willing to accept such a proposition. To further illustrate my point, let's consider how young women are treated. When they're young and receiving plenty of attention, even if they're average looking, everything seems great. However, when that attention dwindles, their situation changes drastically. Despite overwhelming evidence that a woman's desirability decreases with time, some women prefer to hold on to idealistic notions that men will always pursue them. In reality, this is nothing more than a fantasy. If a man claimed entitlement to VIP treatment and expected to be invited onto a yacht without making any effort, he would be considered foolish. There's no excuse for such entitlement. However, when a woman believes she deserves the best men, despite having numerous red flags such as emotional baggage, traumatic experiences, or children from different fathers, it's seen as acceptable. Rejecting a woman of this caliber often results in being labeled as insecure for not being able to handle her.
But I really don't understand how a single mom with a one-income household is supposed to survive right now.
I don't understand why all these average men are out here single when they could be coupled up helping you pay the bills, but they weren't good enough, were they? I bet they are now.
With all this inflation, high gas prices, high food prices, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. You know, a lot of ladies, even some single mothers, turn down a good, hard-working man, and they view him too average because they want these high-earning men. They don't want to work and build with a man. And now that all this is going on, all of a sudden say, where they at? Well, now these men are having the last laugh. And I don't think no men should come to their rescue at all. If you got an opportunity to get a good, hard-working man that's decent, get him. Don't pass him up. Stop acting entitled.
As you already know from watching my previous content, having standards is essential. As a man, it's your responsibility to decline the advances of a woman if you have more important priorities to focus on. If she wants your attention, but you need to prioritize your fitness goals, it's your duty to decline and focus on yourself. If she fails to understand that you are a man with ambition, that's her problem. It's also important to note that if a woman you're getting to know exhibits multiple red flags, such as a high number of previous partners, kids from multiple fathers, and gold-digging vibes, it's way better to have a preference and exercise caution. However, men who have said preferences are demonized and even called predators. Clown world.
We were given privilege just based on something as shallow as the way we look.
Wasn't shallow when doors were being opened, where men were propositioning her with flights, with boats, with expensive dinners. And then they get older and you're shallow. You're not man enough. You're insecure. You're a predator. You can't handle me now that I've been pumped and dumped by half the block.
After a decade or more of indulging in a carefree lifestyle and engaging with lots of men who happen to be unsuitable partners, these women feel entitled to top-tier men who are willing to commit. Unfortunately for them, it doesn't work that way. These women don't even qualify to land a top-tier man. If a woman fails to fulfill her responsibilities, such as being a faithful, supportive, and cooperative, she isn't a desirable catch. This concept of post-wall, aka leftover women, was coined in China. Here's a short clip that clearly explains what this means and why women who don't marry are almost outcasts.
不是小孩子了。把自己嫁出去，你一天不结婚，父亲就不死。不要任性，
可怜天下父母心啊！挑来挑去的，
哪个不合适？
多个女人就应该结婚。
你现在已经是剩女了。
剩女这个词给人的感觉就是剩下来的女人。给我的感觉就是说，其实好像25岁以后还不结婚就是剩女了。
可能会被别人说，或者被家人催，或者有些社会的压力吧。所以过年回家是压力最大的，因为全部人都会在问你：你都多大了，还没结婚呢？
你年龄也不小啦。
他们就可能觉得，就是在中国这个社会，就是一定要结婚，那才是一个完整的女人。
你还在城外的感觉。
This article further explains what these women are in the eyes of Chinese society. I quote, when a 4-minute documentary-style video exploring the pressures placed on single women in China was released in April, the term Shengnu, which translates into English as leftover women, was new to the rest of the world. But for millennial Chinese women, it was an all-too-familiar concept. Shengnu, which refers to any woman over the age of 27 who is still single, applies to a growing body of women seeking education, economic freedom, and a more unconventional life path than their parents. But despite the progressive movement, the message from society remains unchanged. If you're not married, you're doing something wrong. Let's stop here for a moment to make a simple yet important remark. The difference between leftover women in China and leftover women in the West is that the former do not sleep around as much, whereas the latter get ran through by tons of dudes. And hold on, that's not everything. In China, they say if you're not married, you're doing something wrong to their women, which is a sign of a society that wants traditionalism instead of, well, some dark agendas. If you know, you know. Let's keep on reading. If you look before 2007, there wasn't this extreme. Extraordinary anxiety surrounding marriage, says Leta Hong Fincher, a consultant on the documentary and author of Leftover Women, The Resurgence of Gender Inequality in China. She believes that the Chinese government, concerned with creating a so-called high-quality workforce that can compete in the global marketplace, coined the phrase as part of an aggressive propaganda campaign to coerce educated women out of the workforce and into matrimony and motherhood. With falling birth rates and much speculation on the impact to China's economy, Fincher argues that the government is deliberately frightening women into believing that if they delay marriage, no one will want to marry them at all. And not only Xi Jinping believes that, most men out there do. Anyway, the reality is that common sense is not that common for modern women. They think that they can ride the carousel, work jobs they hate, and quit their lifestyles for good whenever they want. Sorry, not sorry. Eggs expire at some point. It looks like that a minority of countries, including China, are aware of that. Well, some women in the West are freezing their eggs just in case. Overall, the entitlement displayed by modern women, especially those who have hit the wall, is insufferable. Chinese leftover women at least don't ride the carousel though. Putting that aside, men are constantly told to do the right thing, and many strive to do so. However, modern women believe they are free to do as they please, and some men will still marry them or put them on a pedestal. At the end of the day, it seems that everything is the fault of men. Let these women revel in their echo chambers and, most importantly, their solitude. Stay strong, guys. As always, I wish you tremendous success. Now it's your turn. What are your thoughts? Why do these post-wall women believe they deserve the best men? Will they ever recognize the mistakes they've made? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember, the best comment will receive $5. Thank you for watching. If you found value in this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, leave a comment, and share it. See you in the next video, guys. Till next time.